August 22nd could radically shift everything at an energy level and mostly at an economic and financial level. My name is Coach JB. What I work to do is make the complex simple. And unfortunately, people are going to start paying attention until they're paying for their attention. In today's video, I'm going to break down August 22nd and what's happening on August 22nd and the facts, figures, numbers, logic that will help precede this information and help us make better decisions. Thousands of people every single week are trying to get a hold of us, and I want to make something very, very clear. We will never proactively DM you. We will never ask you to send us money. Those are all scammers. They're using AI technology to mimic influencers. Never send an influencer money on WhatsApp or Telegram or any of those platforms. Okay. We have a Warrior Academy, Education Academy, where we help people with our 5 pillars of wealth, our foundation being mind, body, and soul, which is in the description down below of this video or in the description of my social. Okay. We also help people. I'm a licensed insurance agent. I have an insurance team, a licensed insurance agent in all 50 states, helping people understand tax-free retirement, tax code 7702, and many other options to help you secure, compound, and grow your retirement in the craziest economic times in the world. I truly believe there's going to be a massive capital market pullback September on the back end of this back end of this year, Q4 2023, which I've been telling people for over a year now, with interest rates going up. And what I'm about to show you right now, family, it is getting very, very serious. I've been preaching this since 2020, ever since I started this channel. I think it was earlier than that, but since I started talking about my education around macroeconomics, it's getting serious. Now, what I mean by that is I'm not trying to instill fear in you. I'm trying to help you understand that inaction is action. Indecision is a decision. And August is a very, very crazy, energetic month. There's 2 full moons. There's a lot of stuff happening within the world. There's going to be a massive economic shift. And on August 22nd, the Brics countries are meeting. Remember, Brazil, India, Russia, China, and South Africa. This was created in 2009 in Bitcoin's inception. So I think it was 2009, right? January 2009 or January 2008, one of those two. Bitcoin's inception was created at the same time the Brics countries are created. Now, as we sit, there's a meeting on August 22nd, which I'm going to show you. And then there was another big media breaking news that hasn't really gone viral in the media, but they're now trading oil in their local currency. Okay. The US dollar, and I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not going to say it's happening within a year. It is transferring its dominant superpower to a one global bag of currencies. That's where we're heading to, a central bank digital currency. Now, why do I bring this up? Because we've been researching this for 8 to 9 hours a day for almost 4 years now. And what we've done is we've positioned our investments based on where the economy is going, not the old industrial era. I'm telling you what, the middle class is getting wiped out, leverage towards technology, moving down to the working poor. In my opinion, there'll be no middle class. They'll be working poor and they'll be very, very wealthy. And I hope that your family, not just the financial side, is on the wealth side. All right, let's dive into this. Love you guys. And, I won't sit here and be weird about it. God, foundation, Christ, family. Following God is good all the time, every single day. And I'm proud to say that. Okay, so let's dive into this. So on August 14th, 2023, this came out on Bloomberg. Brics to discuss accelerated use of local currencies at the summit. Well, this came out on August 14th, and I'm going to show you how it just happened yesterday. Now, why is this important, guys? The Brics countries are meeting on August 22nd. There is a ton of countries trying to join the Brics. One of them is Africa. So they're convincing the African countries to move in to Brics, which is a large population that America, remember, I showed you Kamala Harris was out there campaigning in Africa, trying to get them into financial inclusion. Remember that? Now Africa is working to join the Brics countries. Brazil, India, Russia, China, and South Africa. They are a superpower combined. Now they're starting to de-dollarize. They're working to trade oil outside of the dollar and in their local currencies. Remember, the only reason why the American dollar has value is our belief in it, number one. Number two, all oil was traded in US dollars, and now they're breaking away from that. Okay, so in the summit, the summit won't have a de-dollarizing on the agenda, says the ambassador. Leaders discuss expansion of Block Johansson Summit. The BRICS group of emerging markets nations will be discussing deepening the use of local currencies in trade between member states at the summit in South Africa next week, the nation's ambassador Block said. So they're discussing the acceleration of local currency, but listen to what they just said. We're discussing the acceleration of digital currency. Summit won't be about de-dollarization, but we're working to use our own local currencies and to move away from the dollar. That is de-dollarization, okay? So let's dive into this. Let's go a little bit deeper into this, okay? So this is on CGTN, and this is the BRICS Summits 2023. What's on the agenda? I just want you to listen to this first part, and I'm gonna have you listen to another part around the BRICS meeting, and then I'm gonna show you the first crude oil that was traded in local currency.
Hello, I'm Tian Wei, and welcome to World Insight. The upcoming BRICS Summit in August is shaping up to be one for the books. South Africa, as this year's BRICS chair, has been busy working on preparations and on the key agenda of expanding membership. The South African ambassador to the BRICS said more than 40 countries, including all of the major developing Global South countries, have expressed interest in becoming BRICS members, and 22 countries have formally asked to join. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has also invited the heads of all African countries to the upcoming BRICS Summit in Johannesburg to engage in dialogue with BRICS leaders. Besides looking to welcome more members, what's at stake in this year's summit? Let's loop in our panel.
Okay, so what they're talking about, so South Africa, got Brazil, India, Russia, in South Africa, right? Saudi Arabia is working to join. So the South Africa president is inviting all the African countries to come in there to join the party, guys. There's a big transition happening right now, a massive transition. And now I'm going to share this with you guys. This was on the BRICS Summit. Group plans to reshape the landscape of the world economy. Let me read that again. BRICS Summit 2023. Group plans to reshape the landscape of the world economy. Okay. I can't remember this gentleman's name, sorry, but they may mention his name, but he is talking about the upcoming meeting and the reasons why people may be working to join the BRICS countries. Listen to what he says about America.
What do you think were some of the determining factors for this growth that we're seeing in the BRIC countries? What influenced this growth that we're seeing?
So she was saying, what influences the growth that we're seeing?
Well, we you know, for most of the capitalist orientation, it's been Western orientation. For many of the countries, it's been that they have been curtailed in their ability to express their own economic potential, their own development potential. It's like the world has been living in a one-dimensional space. And, you know, that's not sustainable. And if you look at it, the kinds of interventions that we have seen across the geopolitical space of the world has meant that most countries that could have developed their own capacity, their own direction, their own alternatives have been curtailed. So essentially, this is a powerful opportunity. And you know, in the past, what it has meant for many countries is that whenever they try to flex this capacity, they're destroyed. I mean, without being alluding to conspiracy theory and all of that, you think about Libya, you think about any other country that's kind of flown the kite of being independent and being a maverick. So this is a direction that has been very beneficial to many countries who are involved, if I got your question right.
Okay, so he basically talks about the fact that it's one-dimensional, and I believe what he means by this, based on his next comments, is he's talking about it's all been controlled by America. America's been the dominant superpower. The dollar has dominated every other currency. They've manipulated every other country based on the currency's domination. Family, we are losing our dominant currency. It is happening. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to collapse tomorrow, but there's a transition happening in our financial system.
Okay, now, Adewale, I mean, the theme for this year, we're looking at BRICS in Africa, partnership for mutually accelerated growth. And we're in a staging area where we're looking at Africa being more dependent, you know, looking for economic growth for all African countries. How do you think, or what specific benefits can African countries expect from forming an alliance with BRICS?
Okay, so forming an alliance with BRICS. Listen to what he says.
the upcoming summit?
Well, firstly, think about it from one point of view, from one very selfish and one-dimensional point of view. China is one of the greatest creditors to the African continent. Building a greater relationship with China, a more sustainable, a more viable, and more understanding relationship, is going to be powerful.
Okay, so he said China is one of the greatest creditors to Africa. America has 33% of our debt outside the United States. China and Japan are the largest holders of our debt.
The second thing is that just looking at each country, China offers a viable alternative to what the US has always created, which is a kind of inferiority complex and a kind of bullying tendency, because the US doesn't just give you support, but it insists that you borrow its cultural norms. China doesn't do that. So China is a big part of Brics. Certainly India has become such a powerhouse in terms of its medium growth in terms of pharmaceuticals and things that are relevant to Africa, like malaria vaccination, the COVID vaccination, all of this capacity to develop things that
Okay, so basically he said, we're tired of America bullying us. You know, I'm putting words in his mouth, but he said, America's the bully. That was his words, right? So they're basically, I like the word he uses, one-dimensional, right? They're what they want to get into 3D form. They want to get into creation. They want to get out of the angular on the dollar bill as the angle on top as the all-seeing eye. They want to break free from those angles, and they want sovereignty. And I mean sovereignty in a way where they can create and they can innovate. You know, and think about what they're saying, guys. He's saying China will allow them to do that more than America. America is supposed to be the freest country in the world. And this gentleman is saying Africa is working with China. Number one, they're their biggest debtor or creditor. And number two, he's saying China will give us more ability to be free and more sovereign and build and be innovative than America would. They're bullies. Think about what he just said. That's crazy. The freest country in the world. That's how they view us now, family. So are you going to sit back and wait for a president to come save you? Or you're going to start making decisions based on your finances and your investments and start taking sovereignty of your own money and understand how to move your money through the system. Look, why do you think BlackRock is investing in China? Think about that for just a moment. Why do you think BlackRock is investing in China right now, guys? I'm not saying that you need to go invest in China. I'm just telling you, these are facts. This is what's happening. And there's another big thing right here. It says India makes first crude oil payment to the UAE in local currency. India's leading petroleum refiner, India Oil Corp, recently concluded a transaction wherein it conducted payment in rupees for the procurement of 1 million barrels of oil from the Middle Eastern nation. One change at a time. August 22nd, 2023 will be a big change in our economic system. Now, I'm not saying a switch is going to be flipped or anything like that, but these countries are working to bring new members onto their country. Okay. You're going to see radical transformation in our financial. All the countries are over leveraged, guys. It's China's got some bad policies. They got debt. America's buried in debt. We have more debt than we have income. We have to borrow for critical services. What a great opportunity. What a great opportunity to switch the whole financial system and change it, right? What a great opportunity to flip everything. But remember what Rosie Rios said? You need a shock to the system to change consumer behaviors. First shock, pandemic, changed all our consumer behaviors. Think about that for just a moment. Cryptocurrency is a fraud. It's fraudulent. And now their Bitcoin ETFs are going to be getting approved very soon here. They went from cryptocurrencies of fraud to PayPal doing a stable coin. They went from cryptocurrencies of fraud to JP Morgan creating their own blockchain. They went from cryptocurrencies of fraud to Fed now services creating real-time payments on demand liquidity. No, that's not a cryptocurrency, but they're taking us to a central bank digital currency. I'm just reporting the facts, figures, numbers, logic. This is not my idea or my thoughts on this. This is what's actually happening in our world now. And remember, the BIS, Bank of International Settlement, the Bank of Banks, provided regulatory clarity to give it to the G20 to give them recommendations. And by the end of this year, they will have regulatory clarity around cryptocurrency. So your financial advisor and your tax accountant and your uncle at the barbecue who's giving you financial advice and told you cryptocurrency is a fraud because they parroted what Elizabeth Warren said on CNBC or Fox News or whatever news station they watch. Think about that for just a moment. Are you going to take your advice from people who are getting their information from television, telling them vision, channeling information, and programming information into them? Or are you going to get your advice from your own discernment, your own research, your own actions, your own behaviors? Discipline and consistency creates freedom. America is a great example of that. We have all the freedom in the world, and we're the most undisciplined people in the world. And we're trapped, and we're broke now, and we're sick, and we're over leveraged. So stop waiting for a savior. You've already been saved. Remember, inaction is action. Indecision is a decision. So pick up your mat and walk. Let's go. Let's do this. There is no invisible enemy. There's no one to protest against. There's no one to fight against other than your actions, your behaviors on a daily basis. I love you guys. I appreciate you. As we always say, warriors, rise, get your shit together. Let's go. Love you guys. If you want to connect with us, again, in the social media profile here, you can set up a free consultation with my insurance team, or you can join our Warrior Academy. We've built over 7,000 warriors with a like-minded community navigate through these interesting times. We'll see you inside.